it's Jama Malmi. Thanks for joining me for another scrapbook process video. Today I'm joining the creative design team and we are collectively showing you all week long tips for using your busy patterned paper. So in front of me you can see the Sawyer collection from Close to My Heart. I love this collection and I've been wanting to play with it, and I found the perfect picture that I actually have wanted to scrapbook as well, but I just have one photo of this and I usually do more than one photo. So the idea I have today is actually going to work perfectly. So you can see her dress is this like mulberry color, and we've got a lot of this in the paper collection, so it's going to work nicely. But this collection also has a lot of busy papers, so we are going to play off of some of the busy ones and tone them down as well. I also wanted to show you, I posted this video last week, and even though I used this background paper that was pre-printed, I wanted to show you 3 ways that you can achieve this look. I actually had several questions on how to make this background paper, and I didn't make it. And so I did give you an idea of how to do it yourself, but today I'm going to show you 3 ways that you can create these triangles as well. So hold tight. We're going to take a look at this beautiful Sawyer collection just because it's so pretty. I wanted you to see everything up close, and you can see it's got bright colors and it's more of a friendship theme. I've already got each of the pattern papers flipped over, so this one has a pretty busy pattern on both sides, but this hero paper is what really inspired me with this photo here. And so I'm going to be using this one, but you can see that the photo gets lost here, and so I'm going to show you ways to make sure that it doesn't. So this is the next 2 papers. This one I'm going to be using today because it's less busy and it's got just little lines in it. And this one's a little less busy too, but it's I'm not going to be using this one because I'm going with lighter colors. I've got a lot of dark in the background of my photo here, so I really want to bring out this lighter color, and I don't want to draw attention to that background. Use the busy pattern to maybe bring in these colors, but bring in other colors that help draw the focus of your photo to the forefront, and you don't want to draw in a lot of the colors that you don't want to stand out. So here are the other 2 patterns. This one's pretty busy as well. I'm not going to use that either. But this one, it's got sort of a busy pattern, but because it's tone on tone, it's going to work in a more muted fashion. So I did get the scrapbooking kit for this. If you have been catching my Kill a Kit series, these are the types of kits that I use, but I'm killing a different kit in the series that's going on now. I post those on Tuesdays. But the kit also comes with these chipboard pieces. They're really easy to pop out. It's like a thin chipboard, and that comes in the kit or available separately. The kit also comes with photo placeholders, which I like to use as mats. And then it comes with a full color guide to create 3 2-page layouts. But I'm going to be doing my own thing and not following those, but they are super cute. And because they're pre-designed layouts, you've got the instructions for cutting all of the papers. So if you want to follow exactly, you've got everything that you need to cut your papers ahead of time, and then the instructions to assemble. And there's also some die cuts. So these are kind of a little bit less than cardstock weight, but more than paper weight. And so they are little die cuts that are supposed to go with the pre-designed layouts. And I like to use these just with my own designs. And so there's lots of pages of those for just little die cuts that you can pop out and use. I really love this one. It might be hard to read here. It says, "Because of you, I laugh a little harder and smile more." And that's going to be a fun element to add on a page. Then there's some exclusive pattern papers. This is another busy one, but this is a pattern paper that's only available in the kit. And there's 2 of these soft pink patterns that are only available in the kit. These are just one-sided. And then you get a few sheets of cardstock. So I've got 2 Harbor, and then I've got a handful of White Daisy. These are probably all for base pages. So it's not a full cardstock pack, but it's what you need to complete those pre-designed layouts if you're going to do that. So let's go ahead and clean this up and dive into our project. Okay, so I've got my background paper down on my Versamat and I've adhered it down so that it doesn't move with just a little bit of tape. And I've chosen the papers that I'm going to use. Now this is the one busy pattern I'm going to use, and remember we're going to do these triangles, so I'm just going to dry fit them for now and we'll try that out. And my thought is that the photo will go here on the busy background, backed with a mat, a solid mat, so it doesn't get so lost, maybe even double matted. And then I'm thinking this one on this side because it balances her dress, and because I want to balance out this busy pattern with some florals over here. So I punched out a bunch of the flowers from those die cut sheets, and then I also will have some stickers to work from if I want. And I'm going to put those over here on the tone on tone paper to balance all this out. And then I'm going to put this one up here, the nice light mint color. And these are not as busy, so will help make this not so loud. And then there wasn't another pattern in the Sawyer collection that I wanted to use. So I pulled out my mix-in pack, and this just has a bunch of neutrals. There's some gray on one side and black on the other. And I thought that the gray looked nice. The floor in the photo is gray, and the polka dots kind of play off of the sort of dotted looking florals in here. So I was toying with putting the gray up at the top so that it wouldn't just blend in with the floor. But then I thought, you know what? I like it blending in with the floor because the floor isn't something that I want to stand out in the photo. So by putting it down, I think having the gray on gray actually works in my favor. So let's go ahead and get these adhered, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways to do that so you can decide what works best for you. Okay, so the first way I'm going to show you, and this was the most obvious to me, but some of the other ways are a little easier. So this was the first way. I'm going to cut it at a diagonal and then cut it like this. So you're just cutting out the piece that you need. So I'm going to lay my paper down on the self-healing mat and bring in a straight edge. If you have a longer ruler or yardstick or something like that, that would work perfectly. This is what I had that would work. It's a little bit flexible, so I just have to be careful to hold it down so it doesn't move. And then you're going to take a razor blade or a craft knife, and you're just going to follow the edge down. You want to do light pressure here. You don't want to do it really heavy and try to get through the first time because you're going to kind of pull the paper possibly. So do some light strokes and do it a few times. It might take 3 or 4 times before you pull it free. Going to need one more time, and then voila, I've got 2 halves. Now this other half you can save for another page. It would be really cool to have a diagonal line across your page. And then this one we need to cut in half again. So I'm going to line it up on the grids on my mat here and find the center point. I'm just going to mark the center point, and then I can take it to my paper trimmer and trim it in my paper trimmer now that it will fit. So I'm going to line up the corner down in the bottom and line it up to my pencil line, and then just cut a straight line, and then we've got another triangle for our layout. Now this next way might be easier for you guys, although it doesn't give you as much usable paper, but I cut a square to 8.5 inches. So that is the exact size that you need. And this is something that a couple of viewers gave me the idea to try. And it didn't even dawn on me that if you cut a smaller square and then cut it in half, that it's going to be the same size that you need. Just be careful when you go up or down your paper trimmer on the corner, because it could kind of ruffle up the corner there. Now for my third way, you have to have at least one triangle already, but we are just going to trace it right onto one of the other papers. So I turned the paper I'm going to use over so that I'm putting the pencil line on the back and just slightly put it on there, and then we are simply going to cut it out. So this way doesn't result in necessarily the most perfectly straight lines, so it might not line up absolutely perfectly on your layout, but it ended up being close enough for me. Now, as I was doing this, I thought of a fourth way, and that is to actually put your paper down where it's going to go and then trim off the excess. So in order to do this, you need to find the center of your page. Now you could just use this for the last couple of pieces and have the pieces you already cut in place and then fit in the last piece or two. But I'm going to show you how to do this if you want to do it for every piece. So I'm using my Versamat for the measuring and a T-square ruler. And my Versamat kind of goes up about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. So I can't measure down to 6 inches, but I can measure at 6 inches and then guess where the 6 inches is going up and down. And then I'll go to the other side at the 6 inches and find where they will intersect. And I just put a small little dot there. And I'll go back up to the top, make sure that I've got that lined up, and it is. So then I can go ahead and line up my pages. So I'm just going to do this one since I've already got the other ones cut. I'm going to line up the corner in the center and then add some glue down to my page. And this is kind of just eyeballing it. I didn't want to put the glue onto my patterned paper in case I didn't get it quite right. But if it's on my base page, it's not a big deal if it's kind of going off where I need it to. So I will just adhere it down like so, and then turn it over and cut off the excess. And so these last two ways actually are the best use of your paper that's left over. Now the other ways you'll get a couple of extra squares, either a large square or an extra small, triangle, a large triangle or an extra small triangle. But these last two ways will leave a bigger leftover piece. So now that I have that one piece in place, I'm going to take all of my other triangles and just line them up against that one. Make sure they're all lined up across the bottom and the sides. So this is the one that I freehand cut with the scissors, and it's not absolutely perfectly as straight as the other ones, but you really can hardly tell, and I'm sure I'm the only one who will ever know. Once I had all my pieces in place, I decided I really wanted to have a white piece in the middle to help the photo pop off the page even more. So I wanted to show you what it would look like with a square, but I was inspired by the layout that I'm scraplifting from myself to have a sort of scalloped circle piece in the middle. So I cut a couple of pieces using my Cricut. But if you don't have a Cricut, you can cut just a regular circle, or like I said, try a square, and it still looks good. I really liked this version of the scallop because it seemed like it fit with the paper. It almost has like this Victorian doily feel to it. So I decided to go with that. And in order to make it pop off the page even more, I inked around the edge. I used Close to My Heart's Sugar Plum ink, which is a retired color, but it's really close to the mulberry that is in this paper pack. So now I'm still going to go with my original idea to add all of these colorful die cuts off to the right to offset and balance all of that pattern on the left. I put my photo just a little bit off center. It's a little bit left of center so that I would have room to add all of these beautiful florals and leaves. I knew right away that I wanted to use that piece that has all of the different colors in it and a flat edge to border the side of my photo. And then I'm going to use all of these other pieces to kind of stick in various places to create dimensions. So I have them tucked behind that piece. And then I'm going to work on creating some other clusters around the photo. I wasn't sure at first about that one die cut in the bottom left because it's so close to that busy patterned paper. So I kept standing up to get a different vantage point and looking at it. And in the end, I do really like it because it completes the visual triangle of this cluster in the top left and my big cluster across the whole right side of the photo, and it just creates that balance without being overwhelming. I didn't add too much extra to that little cluster, but I have so much on the right that I thought that it didn't take away from that patterned paper. So I wanted to add a few little die cuts overlapping the photo. I like how that looks. And I also kind of wanted to hide the TV that's in the background of the photo. I didn't love a lot of the stuff that was in the background of this photo, and so I'm going to try to cover some of those up strategically with the die cuts and keep the focus on my daughter. She is so sassy and so funny. She dressed up in her really fancy dress and packed up her purse and was wearing her purse and her high heels and her rhinestone sunglasses and just came in. I forget where we were going. We were going somewhere, but it was snowy outside, or at least really, really cold. And she's wearing these high heel sandals, but it was just, it's so her. And so I wanted to capture this moment and journal about it because this is just the epitome of her and her little sassy self. So you saw me pull in some stickers. The title is from the sticker sheet, and I used my anti-static powder bag on the back of those to take off the sticks so I could more easily move them around. And I'm just going to kind of fuss around with some of these other die cuts. I used a flower up in the top right to sort of cover the TV and tucked some of the die cuts behind the title, which eventually will be moved because I thought it just was too much. And then I found some of these little word stickers from the sticker sheet that worked perfectly and absolutely fit with her personality and the photo. So now that I'm happy with where all of my die cuts are around the photo, I wanted to balance the rest of the page. I added a harbor banner, which is from the sticker sheet, up to the top along with a gray to pull those colors up there, and a couple of other little floral and leaf die cuts, and that helps balance the harbor around the page. And then I pulled out these small butterflies from the layered butterfly die set. These are the same butterflies I used in my inspiration layout. And I cut the butterflies in vellum to add sort of a softness under each butterfly, and then cut it in the colors that I used on the layout. I wasn't sure which one I wanted over on the left. I tried the mulberry and it just blended into that busy paper. So then I used the harbor, which is a much bolder color and is the color that I'm using to kind of stand out and anchor everything around the page. So you can notice that I have that butterfly up in the top left, as well as the banner hanging from the right, and then the treasured part of the title is another piece of the visual triangle of the harbor. I'm always trying to find ways to add sparkle and shine to my layouts, so I was digging through my stash and found these embellishments, and I thought these white glittery chipboard flowers and that border piece might look nice. So I was trying to find a place to tuck them around the layout. I was trying to get a flower up there, but it was just too big. But then there were these little tiny pieces that came out from the center of the flowers, and that looked good up there without overwhelming that piece, but just adding a little sparkle. And then I tucked in these other flower pieces around the little clusters to add some sparkle here and there. I cut that border piece into a few different pieces. I stuck a piece up in the top cluster, over on the side of the photo, and then underneath the treasured part of the title. Now it's time to glue everything down, and I did most of it off camera, but wanted to show you how I put the butterflies together. I just put some liquid glue down the body of the butterfly so that it could keep its dimension. The wings kind of lifted up on their own after I ran them through the die cut machine, so it adds some nice dimension. And then on all of these little sprigs and things that are tucked in, I just put some glue down toward the end so that I can then lift up and add dimension to all of those pieces. As a finishing touch, I'm adding some silver glitter gems here and there around the layout, just to add a little bit different size and texture to my clusters. Then I'm going to curl up the edges of all of those die cuts, which really creates some beautiful layered dimension. And I'm going to give you a look here at everything close up after I finished. I really hope you enjoyed today's layout and got some ideas for using your busy patterned paper, as well as how to layer up and add dimension with your die cuts and various embellishments. So I'm going to leave you with some still shots. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope that you will hit the like button and subscribe. You definitely don't want to miss some big news from the creative design team coming up next month. Speaking of the creative design team, here are those lovely ladies. Some of them have already posted for the month and some of them are coming up. Here is a playlist, and I'll also have all of their channels linked below. Be sure to stay tuned for errands tomorrow. You definitely don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching.